This is E.T. This here is Slapsy Maxie Rosenbloom, former light heavyweight champion of the world, and arguably one of the best ever at that weight, and not arguably the busiest of champions of all weight classes ever since. Max, in a career that spanned from, I think, 1923 to 1939, fought almost 300 times. I think it was 299 fights, maybe 289, depending on, who your source is. Anyway, that's as a light heavyweight. And he usually weighed a very light 170 pounds, like a super middleweight. He won 210 bouts, but knocked out only 8 opponents. He officially lost 35. A lot of those were unofficial newspaper decisions. And of his losses, only two, were by knockouts. And E.T. believes that each one of those knockouts was questionable. Many believed in those newspaper decisions that went against Rosenbloom that he actually won. He won the light heavyweight title in June of 1930. He was about 25 years of age. He outpointed Jimmy Slattery. That was a very bloody fight. It went 15 rounds. And then he lost the title 2 years later to Bob Olin. That, by the way, was the last time that two Jewish fighters met in a title fight. Many observers feel that Max actually won that fight against Olin, that the decision was stolen because promoters did not want to keep Slapsy Maxie as champion. As entertaining as he could be, he's in the movies, I'll talk about that, he did not produce what fans wanted to see in the ring. I'm talking about knockouts. He did not knock out many people, only 8 in his whole career, I mentioned that. And he himself had been knocked out only twice, and I don't think he was knocked out really. Fighters who don't produce knockouts usually don't draw a lot of fans. He said, "I always hated to hit hard." Everybody said he lacked the killer instinct. There's a story, many people think it's apocryphal, I think it's true, that a referee was about to award him a technical knockout victory. His opponent was badly cut. And Rosenbloom said, "No, don't stop it. I just won't hit the guy in the head anymore." That's the kind of guy that Max Rosenbloom was. But the fact is, Rosenbloom did not need a knockout to win. He was among the quickest and most elusive light heavyweight fighters ever. Max was also very self-effacing. That's an attribute, well, it's all but lost among today's boasting fighters. A famous line of Rosenbloom's was this: "Yeah, I quit fighting because Joe Louis was afraid to fight me. Yeah, he was afraid he'd killed me." Now, that's funny, but it's not true. The fact is, Max Rosenbloom was constantly trying to get a fight against Joe Louis. But everyone on Joe Louis's team did not want the champion, heavyweight champion, in with Maxie Rosenbloom, because there's always the possibility that Max would outpoint Joe. And he certainly, even if Joe won the decision, would make him look clumsy. So how did a nice Jewish boy from early 20th century Harlem in New York acquire those evasive skills that allowed him to fight and beat actually more top 10 contenders, than anyone has before or since? Almost every month of his career, he's fighting this caliber of people. Well, to understand all this, you have to go back and look at Slapsy Maxie's early years. He was done with school by the time he finished 3rd grade, or maybe 5th grade. It depends on who's telling the story. He went to reform school. Later on, when he got out, his mother enrolled him in ballet classes. This likely proved to be most important in developing what may have been the most deft footwork among the big men right up to this day. Well, as hard as he tried to get a fight with Joe Louis, he did not get any kind of title fight again. But he did enter a new career that familiarized the general public, not just fight fans, with Slapsy Maxie Rosenbloom. In other words, Max became an actor. 15 movies while he was still an active fighter. Overall, he was in 60 movies. E.T. saw many of them, and you can find some on YouTube or on cable today. He usually played one of two character types: a tough guy, a Damon Runyon kind of character, or a punch-drunk ex-boxer. He appeared in a short with Max Baer. I'll show you a clip here. Max Baer, another boxing champion, who had a son, Max Baer Jr., who played Jethro on the Beverly Hillbillies. Max also, talking about Slapsy Maxie, ran some very famous nightclubs with his name atop them. One was in Los Angeles, another in San Francisco. And you can see his nightclubs in several movies from the 40s and 50s. Max himself always appeared at his nightclubs. His act was spontaneous and hilarious. Now, there's some question, because I know this is going to come up in the comment section. Did Maxie really own these nightclubs? We don't know. We do know that mobster Mickey Cohen was at least a part owner. Well, the sad part of all this story is this. Slapsy Maxie died in 1976 of Paget's disease, that's a bone disease. Accompanied, it was reported, by dementia pugilistica. In other words, a punch-drunk syndrome. Although not everybody believes this, considering that Max appeared to never be hit. Dr. Robert Kurlan, a sports doctor, had this to say. Max had the classic slurring, the cauliflower ear, the scar tissue. He was the prototype of the punch-drunk fighter, but the real punch-drunk boxers are a far cry from what Maxie was. Believe me, I've seen them, and they're far worse. But Maxie just exaggerated whatever tendencies he had in that direction. But many today believe that had Max been allowed to keep his title, in other words, that he had been a more entertaining fighter, he would be among the very best, understood to be today, among the very best light heavyweight champions ever. It is possible, E.T. believes, that he might have wrestled Joe Louis's title by decision. Maybe. Well, Billy Conn almost did in 1941. Then he tried to slug it out with Joe. That was a mistake. Anyway, that's it. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Type in comments below. Subscribe. Tap the bell icon. That way you'll be notified of new uploads. Share these videos, will you, with other social media? Thank you.